Hi guys, welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be doing the Alien Drawing Part 2. This is a Neomorph from the movie Alien Covenant. In the first video we kind of talked about the lore and character design origins of the Xenomorph and the alien, its life cycle and all that stuff. And I thought I'd just check back in with you guys here as I approach kind of finishing up or getting to the end of this drawing and show you how I punch in some details, maybe talk a little bit more about the Neomorph and just the Alien franchise in general. I'm kind of trying to build up his jawline here so that it looks more human. There should be a lot of human elements in a Xenomorph, so long as that is the host, which in this case, that is the case. The human was the host. The Neomorph was kind of born from this spore-like egg sac on the planet that the ship, the Covenant, was visiting. And upon being disrupted, this little egg sac lets little motes of stuff float up into the air, and it looks like it goes for mucous membranes to penetrate a host so they can incubate inside them and create a creature. And since the host was human, the Xenomorph, which is really a parasite, as we discussed in the first video, takes on a lot of humanoid features. That could be anything from, like, if you'll notice, the original Xenomorphs tend to be pretty translucent in the skull, or in the dome up here, and they'll actually have a human-looking skull inside that translucent area, which I think really adds to the horror. It lets you know how much of our DNA they are borrowing in the process of becoming made, really. I should just blast it in the shoulder down here, so that's what I'm going to do. Kind of an interesting shoulder area on the Neomorph. This back here is really like a trap and trapezius muscle kind of deal going on. I don't think that the way I framed it on here is going to necessarily be able to showcase that. I didn't have a lot of room since I did a pretty big drawing of the Neomorph, but I just wanted to do a skull that had a good amount of detail in it. I really feel like this gum area is probably like the most important part of the drawing. Because if you can make that pop, since that's the part that is really quite prominent in the dimensional plane, as it sticks out beyond the head, that'll help bring the drawing to life, which is what ultimately the goal is here. Of course, I'd like these teeth to look really alive. I think it'd be such a cool gig to land to design a Xenomorph for the next film franchise, whatever that film franchise, or whatever that film is going to be at the time, but I gotta imagine that it's probably the most coveted sort of job, or maybe it's dreaded, I don't know, but as far as creature design goes, I mean, you have a formula to follow, but there's still a lot of iterating that can be done. And so you have to walk this tightrope with the Xenomorph on where to iterate, how much of the host DNA to claim in the Xenomorph as it transitions. And for me personally, like I said in my last video, I just think that the Neomorph is kind of the coolest version of that for me in my mind. I know it's a little sacrilegious based on how well received the first kind of big chappy Alien is. But I don't know, there's something about the fleshy nature of the Neomorph that just kind of speaks to me on a creature design level. And maybe it has nothing to do with this better design. Maybe it just has to do with the fact that the biomechanical design had been done so often that seeing a version that went the opposite way of that was just kind of refreshing. I enjoyed Alien Romulus and thought it was kind of cool to do a callback to the original Alien design. But ultimately they kind of just feel like the Star Wars movies, the second or the last trilogy that Disney just did, how they kind of just end up feeling like a rehash. I thought Alien Romulus just felt like a rehash. And a lot of people, that's probably all they want, is just more Alien. But I have to imagine even the most hardcore Alien fans, which I consider myself pretty up there, would have to get bored of that if it was just kind of people trapped on a spaceship every time with an alien. And so while I understand not liking the kind of God, Adam, Eve storyline that the franchise took, I still think that operating within that Alien Covenant is a good movie and has some good ideas going on there. Try to blend this a little up here. I'm going to try and make this a little shorter video, maybe like 10-15 minutes. I guess you'll know before you even click on it, but for me right now it's a real guess. My last Alien video, which I thought was pretty good. I mean, I think the drawing itself is interesting, and I thought the first video actually was my best so far in terms of talking about lore and character design and maybe some trivia. And yet it is far and away my worst performing video as of yet. So I'm kind of doing part 2 here to break through some sort of algorithmic, I don't even know, shackle that has been placed upon the video. Hopefully make up a little bit for that lost ground. I have no expectations of like a lot of people watching videos, but I just want to continue to improve and not fall behind, at least where I was. So I kind of want to try a shorter video to see how the algorithm behaves. And so I thought just doing one here where I focus a little bit on details help. Because in the first video I pretty much got this all blocked in with tone and it just looked like the big mass, which maybe isn't the most interesting part of how this is all done, but it is an important part. And I don't know, people who maybe don't do art but ingest it in time lapses and stuff might not realize exactly how long these things can take, because maybe the blocking phase can go pretty fast where you get some basic shapes down and you can start making a little 3D, but the actual work part where you start bringing out form and subtle details and nuance takes a really long time. I spent hours kind of shading this, a couple hours just kind of shading this and blending it and getting it to a spot where I'm at least okay. And even still when I look at it sometimes I'm like, that spot could be better, but takes a long time to punch in detail. Alright, so he has this big kind of corded ligament or something here that I don't want to really pronounce because I think that is a cool feature on him. And so I kind of add this feathery striation coming off of him, off that cord. I want a lot of attention on that area since it kind of looks cool. So I'm not going to blend that too much. I just need this area right here, which is kind of his sternocleidomastoid type area, to have lots of small ridges and detail. So I'm going to do that, and I'm going to kind of cross hatch it, just to kind of, not copying exactly what I see, but I'm just trying to create that detail in that area. And if you don't know, when you're drawing, you should be rotating your pencil every now and again to try and keep your edge as sharp as you can. That way you don't have to constantly go back and sharpen it. Some people are so good they can rotate their pencil as they're doing this stuff. That is not me. So I'm going to just give a very light blending. Alright, but I think that's going to do it for this video. Thanks for checking back in on the second part of the alien drawing. I have really enjoyed drawing the Neomorph. I've enjoyed talking about it, and of course learning again some of the stuff just to make sure that I knew what I was going to talk about. I do think it's probably the best. I do think it's the best creature design ever done, the Xenomorph in general. And for me, the Neomorph is my favorite one. So I have really enjoyed drawing this. I would like to draw a big version of it someday and maybe do a full kind of body, or at least half body. But I want to do a face to just so I could get the appropriate amount of detail that at least would make me feel satisfied whenever I do a half figure on a page this size. I always get left a little disappointed that I couldn't put as much into the face as I had hoped. But alright guys, that's going to do it. Thanks for watching. Let me know any creatures or characters from games, movies, films, what have you, that you might like to see drawn in the future. I'm pretty open, and I have I still have a lot of ideas to draw. I've talked about it in every video, but I will be doing a Dead Space drawing here pretty soon at some point. I like the Wall Guardians, so I think I might draw a Wall Guardian and put it on the wall, basically. So, anyways, thanks for watching. Hope to catch you guys in the next video. Peace!